Roundhouse kicks, justice delivered with a fist, and a hero who never lost. But behind Chuck Norris's stone face, secrets were buried that fans never suspected. Actors were hospitalized. Entire episodes were banned. And one stunt, it went so wrong the production nearly shut down forever. These are 20 secrets about Walker, Texas Ranger hidden for decades. And the bonus, a fight scene so brutal the network refused to air it for years. Let's kick this investigation into gear. Number 20. CBS rejected the show 3 times before saying yes. When Chuck Norris pitched Walker, Texas Ranger to CBS in the early 90s, he was already an action movie legend with decades of martial arts credibility. Networks should have jumped at the opportunity. Instead, CBS said no, repeatedly. The first pitch in 1990 was rejected immediately, executives calling the concept too violent for network television. They believed audiences wanted softer procedurals, not martial arts action shows. Norris came back a year later with a revised pitch, toning down the violence and emphasizing family values. CBS rejected it again, this time claiming the Western setting felt dated and wouldn't appeal to urban demographics they were targeting. Norris refused to give up, returning in 1992 with a third pitch that emphasized multicultural casting and contemporary social issues wrapped in an action framework. CBS executives were still skeptical but desperately needed programming for their struggling Saturday night lineup. They approved a pilot reluctantly, expecting it to fail and prove their initial instincts correct. When the pilot tested through the roof with focus groups, especially in Middle America, CBS couldn't deny the numbers. They ordered a full season, still uncertain about the show's potential. Walker, Texas Ranger premiered in April 1993 and became an unexpected hit, running for 8 seasons and proving that sometimes networks don't know what audiences want until it's shoved in their faces repeatedly.
That hand looks bad, Walker.
You'll be okay. Let's give it another.
You're under arrest, Frank. I wish you luck, Walker.
Number 19. Chuck Norris controlled everything and everyone resented it. Chuck Norris wasn't just the star of Walker, Texas Ranger. He was executive producer, creative consultant, and the final authority on every decision. His production company owned the show, giving him unprecedented control that he exercised ruthlessly. Norris approved every script, every casting choice, every stunt, and every edit. If he didn't like something, it changed, regardless of what writers, directors, or network executives wanted. This created a toxic power dynamic where challenging Norris meant risking your job. Writers grew frustrated watching their scripts get rewritten to make Walker more heroic and infallible, removing moral complexity they'd carefully crafted. Directors learned to film exactly what Norris wanted, abandoning their own creative visions to avoid conflict. Cast members who suggested different character choices were shut down immediately, told that Norris knew the show better than anyone. The resentment was palpable on set, with crew members privately calling the show the Chuck Norris Ego Hour and mocking his need for complete control. Some talented people quit after single seasons, unable to tolerate working in an environment where one man's vision overruled all collaboration. But Norris didn't care about hurt feelings or damaged relationships. He'd built a career on self-reliance and individual strength, and he ran his show the same way. Walker, Texas Ranger was his vision, his legacy, and anyone who couldn't accept that could leave. Many did, but the show succeeded anyway, proving that autocratic control sometimes works even when it destroys morale. Number 18. The martial arts stunts sent multiple actors to the hospital. Walker, Texas Ranger's selling point was authentic martial arts action, not Hollywood fakery or wire work. Chuck Norris insisted on realistic fight choreography performed by actors rather than hidden stunt doubles. This commitment to authenticity resulted in a production with one of the highest injury rates in television history. During the first season alone, 7 actors required hospital treatment for injuries sustained during fight scenes. Broken bones, concussions, torn ligaments. These weren't occasional accidents, but regular occurrences that production accepted as the cost of authenticity. Clarence Gilliard, who played Walker's partner Trevette, was hospitalized twice, once for a broken rib when a kick landed too hard, and again for a concussion during a staged car accident. Guest actors who thought they were signing up for easy television work found themselves in genuinely dangerous situations, expected to take real hits, and perform falls that professional stuntmen would approach cautiously. The production's attitude toward injuries was disturbing. Rather than improving safety protocols or using more stunt doubles, they simply accepted that people would get hurt and planned shooting schedules around expected injuries. Insurance costs for Walker, Texas Ranger exceeded most action shows, with the production classified as high risk by industry standards. But Norris believed the injuries were worth it, that authentic-looking action required real consequences. Actors who complained about safety were labeled soft or unprofessional, creating pressure to accept dangerous conditions or leave the show.
Ranger Walker. We're heading north on Fremont.
Roger that, Walker. I'm flanking you. Any shots fired?
No.
Number 17. The show was banned in multiple countries for violence. Walker, Texas Ranger was marketed as family-friendly entertainment, airing in early evening time slots and emphasizing moral lessons alongside action. But international markets saw something different, a show where violence was the primary solution to every problem, where a law enforcement officer regularly brutalized suspects, and where martial arts combat was glorified without consequences. Germany banned the show outright in 1994, citing excessive violence inappropriate for the time slots it would air. The German Broadcast Standards Board specifically objected to scenes where Walker used force against unarmed suspects, arguing it promoted police brutality. France followed, restricting the show to late-night broadcasts with warnings about violent content. Several Middle Eastern countries banned it completely, not for violence but for scenes showing women in positions of authority that conflicted with cultural norms. The United Kingdom allowed broadcast but required extensive editing, cutting fight scenes and removing episodes where violence was particularly graphic. These bans frustrated CBS's international distribution arm, which had expected Walker to be a global hit. They pressured producers to tone down violence in later seasons, creating a watered-down product that satisfied no one. Norris resisted changes, arguing that removing action from an action show was self-defeating. The compromise was creating two versions of many episodes, a domestic cut with full violence and an international cut with sanitized action. This doubled editing costs and created continuity problems, but allowed the show to air in markets that would otherwise ban it completely.
If there's anything about you being late, have him call me.
Look, you don't understand.
You're wrong, Keith. I do understand.
Number 16. Clarence Gilliard was fired and rehired 3 times. Clarence Gilliard played James Trevette, Walker's partner and the show's second lead for 6 seasons. His chemistry with Norris was undeniable, creating a buddy cop dynamic that balanced Norris's stoicism with Gilliard's warmth and humor. But behind the scenes, their relationship was volatile and dysfunctional, leading to Gilliard being fired and rehired repeatedly. The first firing came during season 2 after Gilliard criticized a script publicly, calling it racist in its depiction of black characters. Norris was furious about the public criticism and fired Gilliard immediately, announcing that Trevette would be written out. But CBS intervened, pointing out that Gilliard was hugely popular with audiences and removing him would damage ratings. Norris reluctantly rehired him after a 2-week standoff. The second firing occurred in season 4 when Gilliard arrived late to set repeatedly, citing personal issues Norris deemed unacceptable. Again, CBS forced Norris to bring him back after test audiences responded negatively to episodes without Trevette. The third and final firing came in season 6 when Gilliard requested episodes off to pursue other projects. Norris saw this as disloyalty and fired him permanently, refusing network pressure to reverse the decision. Trevette was written out, replaced by new characters who never achieved the same audience connection. Gilliard later spoke about the toxic relationship, saying Norris treated him like an employee rather than a partner, accepting no input or pushback on creative decisions. The constant firings created an atmosphere of fear and instability that affected Gilliard's performance and mental health.
This is Ranger Walker. We're heading north on Fremont.
Roger that, Walker. I'm flanking you. Any shots fired?
No.
Number 15. The show's moral messages were actual religious sermons. Walker, Texas Ranger became famous for episodes ending with moral lessons. Walker delivering wisdom about right and wrong, family values, and personal responsibility. Casual viewers assumed these were generic motivational messages written by staff. They were actually adapted from sermons and religious texts that Chuck Norris studied and wanted to broadcast. Norris, a devout Christian, saw Walker as a platform for spreading his faith without explicitly mentioning religion. He worked with religious advisors who helped adapt biblical principles into secular-sounding advice. Many of Walker's speeches were paraphrased scripture, wisdom literature from Proverbs, or moral teachings from the New Testament, reworded to avoid triggering network censors concerned about religious content. Writers were instructed to build episodes around these moral lessons, reverse engineering stories that would justify Walker delivering specific messages Norris wanted to share. Some writers resented this approach, feeling they were writing propaganda rather than entertainment. Others quit, uncomfortable with the religious agenda disguised as moral storytelling. But Norris was unapologetic, believing he had a responsibility to use his platform for good, spreading values he believed would help viewers. The messages resonated with conservative audiences who appreciated the show's traditional values, while secular viewers often found them preachy and heavy-handed. This divide defined Walker's audience, attracting viewers who wanted moral certainty while alienating those seeking moral complexity.
If there's anything about you being late, have him call me.
Look, you don't understand.
You're wrong, Keith. I do understand.
Number 14, Cherie J. Wilson was hired because she'd work for less money. Cherie J. Wilson joined Walker, Texas Ranger in Season 2 as Assistant District Attorney Alex Cahill, who would become Walker's love interest and eventual wife. The role was crucial, adding romantic tension and representing the legal side of law enforcement. Wilson wasn't the first choice, or even the fifth. The role was offered to several more established actresses who all demanded salaries the production deemed too high. CBS wanted a recognizable name to boost female viewership, suggesting actresses with film credentials and proven audience appeal. But Norris and his production company refused to meet their salary demands, believing the show's success rested on him alone and that supporting cast were replaceable. Wilson, whose career had stalled after Dallas ended, was willing to work for significantly less than other candidates. She accepted a salary barely above scale, desperate for steady work and believing Walker could revive her career. The production hired her specifically because she was cheap and grateful, not because she was the best actress available. This created resentment from Wilson, who realized she was undervalued and treated as expendable. She later discovered male guest stars were paid more for single episodes than she earned as a series regular, a disparity that infuriated her. Wilson stayed for 7 seasons but never stopped feeling exploited, knowing her willingness to work cheaply had been the primary factor in her casting.
That is?
No,
The warrior.
like you.
Number 13. The show's depiction of Native Americans sparked protests. Walker, Texas Ranger frequently featured storylines involving Native American characters and reservations, attempting to address indigenous issues and honor Native culture. But the representation was so problematic that Native American advocacy groups protested the show repeatedly, calling it offensive and harmful. The main issue was that Native characters were almost always depicted as either noble savages living in harmony with nature or criminals running casinos and committing crimes. There was no middle ground, no representation of Native Americans as complex modern people navigating contemporary life. The show also consistently cast non-Native actors in Native roles, using makeup and costumes to create stereotypical appearances that indigenous actors found insulting. Worse, storylines about reservation politics and tribal governance were wildly inaccurate, perpetuating misconceptions about Native sovereignty and legal systems. The American Indian movement organized protests outside CBS offices in 1995, demanding better representation and the hiring of Native consultants. CBS promised improvements, and the production hired a cultural advisor, but the advisor quit after 1 season, frustrated that his input was ignored whenever it conflicted with the scripts Norris wanted to film. The problematic depictions continued throughout the show's run, with Native characters serving as plot devices rather than fully realized people. Years later, the show's Native American episodes are studied in media criticism courses as examples of how not to represent indigenous peoples, even when intentions are supposedly positive. Number 12. Chuck Norris's brother died during production and everything changed. In 1995, during the filming of Season 3, Chuck Norris's younger brother Aaron died suddenly of cancer at age 51. Aaron had been Chuck's training partner, stunt coordinator, and one of his closest confidants. The loss devastated Norris in ways that fundamentally changed both him and the show. Production shut down for 2 weeks while Norris grieved, and when filming resumed, everyone noticed he was different. The playful side of Norris that occasionally emerged between takes disappeared completely. He became even more controlled and distant, throwing himself into work as a way of avoiding grief. The show's tone shifted dramatically after Aaron's death. Episodes became darker, more violent, with Walker dealing with loss and mortality in ways that clearly reflected Norris's own processing. One episode dealt explicitly with a character losing a brother, Walker delivering a speech about grief that was clearly Norris speaking from personal experience. Cast members tried offering support but were rebuffed, Norris maintaining professional distance and refusing to discuss his feelings. His brother's death intensified his religious faith, leading to even more overt moral messaging in later seasons. Some cast members felt the show never recovered its earlier energy, that Aaron's death cast a shadow over production that never lifted. Norris himself rarely spoke about it publicly, but those who worked with him before and after noticed the permanent change, a hardness that hadn't existed before.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I sure hope what they say about the early bird is true.
Number 11. The ratings were artificially inflated by strategic scheduling. Walker, Texas Rangers' rating success was partially an illusion created by CBS's strategic scheduling manipulation. The network deliberately placed Walker in time slots following their highest-rated programs, using lead-in audiences to inflate Walker's numbers artificially. For most of its run, Walker aired Saturday nights after CBS's powerhouse lineup of sports programming or popular movies that delivered massive audiences. Television viewers in the 90s had less channel surfing technology, meaning many people who watched preceding programs simply left their TV on CBS, artificially boosting Walker's ratings even if they weren't actively watching. CBS also scheduled Walker during sweeps periods against weak competition on other networks, ensuring it would win its time slot and generate impressive-looking ratings that didn't reflect organic audience interest. When the show was occasionally moved to different time slots without strong lead-ins, ratings dropped significantly, revealing that much of its audience was inherited rather than earned. Industry analysts noticed this pattern, but CBS and Norris's production company promoted the inflated numbers, using them to negotiate higher advertising rates and international distribution deals. The deception worked for years, making Walker appear more successful than it actually was. When the show finally moved to less favorable scheduling in later seasons, the ratings collapse revealed the truth. Walker had a loyal core audience, but nowhere near the massive viewership the promoted numbers suggested. By then, the show had already run long enough to reach syndication, making the revelation financially irrelevant but historically important for understanding its actual impact versus perceived success. Number 10. Nia Peoples was hired to attract younger viewers, and it failed. When Clarence Gilliard left the show, CBS pressured producers to add a younger, more diverse cast member to attract demographics Walker was losing. Nia Peoples was hired in Season 8 to play Sydney Cook, a young ranger bringing fresh energy to the aging show. The casting was cynical from the start, a transparent attempt to seem contemporary while maintaining the show's conservative formula. Peoples quickly realized she'd been hired as a token, a pretty face meant to draw younger viewers without actually changing anything substantive about the show's approach. Her character was given minimal development, existing primarily to look attractive while Walker remained the focus of every episode. Peoples pitched storylines exploring Sydney's background and giving her meaningful character arcs. But writers ignored her input, keeping Sydney as shallow as possible. The strategy failed completely. Younger viewers didn't suddenly start watching because a younger actress was added. They could tell Sydney was window dressing, not a genuine addition to the show's DNA. Meanwhile, Walker's core older audience resented the obvious pandering, feeling the show was abandoning its identity. Peoples lasted only one season before being written out, another victim of the show's inability to evolve. She later spoke candidly about feeling used, brought in to solve a problem the show refused to actually address, then discarded when the quick fix didn't work. Number 9. The show's finale was rewritten to avoid killing. Walker, Texas Rangers' original series finale, written for Season 8, ended with Walker dying heroically while saving innocent lives. The script had him sacrificing himself to stop terrorists, a tragic but fitting end for a character defined by selflessness and duty. Chuck Norris read the script and refused to film it. He believed Walker represented hope and strength, and killing him would betray everything the character stood for. More importantly, Norris was already planning potential reunion movies and wanted Walker alive for future projects. He demanded a complete rewrite, insisting Walker survive and get a happy ending. Writers scrambled, creating a new finale where Walker proposes to Alex and they marry, a sentimental conclusion that wrapped everything neatly. The rewritten finale satisfied no one creatively but gave Norris what he wanted: a character still available for exploitation. CBS was frustrated, having envisioned the heroic death as a powerful series conclusion that would generate massive ratings and critical attention. Instead, they got a generic happy ending that felt anticlimactic after 8 seasons. The finale aired to decent but unspectacular ratings, confirming that Norris's ego had overruled what could have been a memorable conclusion. Years later, the planned reunion movies never materialized, meaning Walker's survival served no purpose except protecting Norris's pride and keeping options open for projects that never happened.
Into.
He'll be fine, Alex. Just stay relaxed.
Thank you. I'm fine. I can't.
Number 8. Judson Mills replaced Gilliard and was treated terribly. After Clarence Gilliard's final departure, the show needed a new partner for Walker. Judson Mills was cast as Francis Gage, a younger ranger meant to bring energy to the aging series. Mills was excited, believing this was his big break into television stardom. Instead, he walked into a nightmare of hazing and professional mistreatment. From day one, crew members who'd been loyal to Gilliard made Mills feel unwelcome, blaming him for their friend's absence even though Mills had nothing to do with the firing. More disturbing was how Chuck Norris treated him. Norris barely acknowledged Mills off camera, refusing casual conversation and maintaining cold professional distance. During scenes together, Norris would deliver his lines then walk away without engaging, leaving Mills feeling isolated and confused. The scripts gave Gage minimal dialogue and character development, reducing him to a sidekick who existed only to make Walker look better. Mills tried building the character anyway, adding small personality touches, but was told repeatedly to tone it down and stay in the background. The experience destroyed Mills's confidence and enthusiasm. He stayed for the show's final season, but left television afterward, pursuing other careers where he didn't feel like a disposable prop. Years later, he described Walker as professionally traumatic, a job that taught him how cruel the industry could be to those without power or protection.
Since I'm standing right here looking at both of you, that means you do exist.
I told you this wasn't going to work. I told you.
Number 7. The show's charity episodes were tax write-offs. Walker, Texas Ranger, frequently aired special episodes benefiting children's charities, with promotional materials emphasizing Norris's philanthropic commitment. These episodes featured storylines about helping underprivileged kids, with end credits encouraging donations to specific charities. Viewers believed they were watching socially conscious television, entertainment with a conscience. The reality was more cynical. These charity episodes were elaborate tax write-offs that benefited Norris's production company financially while creating positive publicity. By partnering with registered charities and donating minimal amounts, the production could classify entire episode budgets as charitable expenses, reducing tax liability significantly. The charities received far less money than viewers assumed, sometimes only 10% of what the episodes cost to produce, with the rest claimed as business expenses. Norris's public image benefited enormously, positioning him as a humanitarian using his platform for good, while the actual financial benefit to charities was minimal. Some charities eventually realized they were being exploited, receiving small donations while their names were used to generate massive goodwill for Norris. Several withdrew their partnerships, refusing to participate in what they saw as exploitation disguised as charity. But others, desperate for any funding and exposure, continued participating despite the unfavorable terms. The charity episodes continued through the show's run, generating tax benefits and positive press while delivering minimal actual charitable impact. Number 6. Multiple episodes were plagiarized from action movies. Walker, Texas Rangers' writers' room operated under crushing deadlines, producing 20-plus episodes annually with minimal staff. This led to widespread plagiarism, with writers lifting plots directly from action movies and hoping no one would notice. At least a dozen episodes were essentially shot-for-shot remakes of films like Die Hard, Under Siege, and Speed, with minimal changes beyond swapping characters and locations. One Season 3 episode was so blatantly copied from a Steven Seagal film that the original screenwriter threatened legal action after fans pointed out the similarities online. The production settled quietly, paying an undisclosed amount and hoping the incident would stay buried. Writers justified the plagiarism as homage or inspiration, but it was straight theft, born from desperation and lack of creativity. Some writers felt guilty and tried pitching original concepts, but Norris and producers preferred familiar formulas that required minimal explanation or development. The plagiarism extended to fight choreography, with action sequences copied directly from Hong Kong martial arts films that American audiences were less likely to have seen. Stunt coordinators would watch foreign films, recreate sequences move for move, and pass them off as original choreography. The practice was so widespread that crew members joked about which movie each episode was ripping off. None of this became widely known until years later when internet film databases made comparisons easy, and fans started documenting the thefts systematically.
I don't think you're getting the meaning of this, buddy. And right now, I see 4 of us and 1 of you.
That's about right.
Number 5. Chuck Norris's real-life politics poisoned the set. Chuck Norris's conservative political views were well known, but during Walker's production they created an increasingly toxic work environment. As the 90s progressed and Norris became more politically active, he started using the set as a platform for his beliefs, making cast and crew uncomfortable. He'd hold impromptu political discussions between takes, expecting everyone to agree with his positions and becoming hostile when they didn't. Crew members with different political views learned to stay silent or risk confrontation and potential firing. Storylines became increasingly right-wing, promoting gun rights, criticizing government regulation, and depicting liberal positions as naive or dangerous. Writers who pushed back were told this was Norris's show and his values would be reflected. Several writers and directors quit specifically because they couldn't stomach the political messaging they were forced to promote. The situation worsened during election years, when Norris would actively campaign for conservative candidates and expect the production to accommodate his political activities. One year, filming was delayed multiple days because Norris was campaigning, forcing crew members to work unpaid overtime to make up the lost time. The double standard infuriated everyone, watching Norris put politics above the show while demanding total dedication from others. By the final seasons, the set was divided between Norris loyalists who shared his politics and everyone else who stayed silent to protect their jobs.
Shit.
Number 4. The show's stunt coordinator was paralyzed and replaced immediately. During Season 5, the show's longtime stunt coordinator Mike Stone was paralyzed during a stunt gone wrong. Stone was coordinating a motorcycle chase sequence when a vehicle lost control and struck him, causing spinal injuries that left him unable to walk. The accident was catastrophic, ending Stone's career instantly and requiring extensive medical treatment and rehabilitation. The production's response was chilling. Instead of shutting down to investigate safety protocols or supporting their injured employee, they replaced Stone within 3 days and continued filming with minimal interruption. Stone was offered a minimal settlement that barely covered his medical expenses, with the production company's insurance fighting to pay as little as possible. Cast and crew were horrified by how quickly Stone was discarded after years of service and significant injury. Several people wanted to speak publicly about the incident, but their contracts included strict non-disparagement clauses preventing criticism of working conditions. Stone sued the production for negligence and inadequate safety measures, but the case was settled confidentially before trial. Terms prevented Stone from discussing the accident publicly, silencing him with a payout that left him financially insecure for life. The incident revealed the production's true values. Efficiency and cost savings mattered more than people, and anyone could be replaced regardless of their contributions or suffering. Safety protocols remained essentially unchanged after Stone's paralysis, with future coordinators warned to be careful but given no additional resources or support. Number 3. Cherie J. Wilson's pregnancy was hidden through entire season. During season 6, Cherie J. Wilson discovered she was pregnant but feared telling the production, knowing their history of firing or sidelining pregnant actresses. She kept the pregnancy secret for months, wearing increasingly elaborate costumes to hide her growing body. The wardrobe department became complicit, designing flowing blazers and strategically placed props that concealed Wilson's midsection. Camera operators were brought in on the secret, shooting her from the chest up or behind desks whenever possible. The deception required elaborate planning for every scene Wilson appeared in, limiting her physical activity and requiring constant adjustments. The stress of hiding her pregnancy while working long hours affected Wilson's health, causing complications that required bed rest, which she disguised as a minor illness. When she finally couldn't hide it anymore, she was immediately written out of several episodes, her character suddenly taking a vacation that was never explained or referenced again. Producers were furious when they discovered the pregnancy, feeling betrayed despite having created an environment where Wilson felt she couldn't be honest. They reduced her role significantly in remaining episodes, punishing her for the deception. Wilson gave birth during the show's hiatus and returned the next season, but her relationship with producers never recovered. She left after season 7, citing exhaustion but really escaping an environment where pregnancy was treated as betrayal rather than normal human experience.
I wonder.
Number 2. The show's international success was due to piracy. Walker, Texas Ranger became unexpectedly huge in international markets, particularly in developing countries where it aired dubbed in local languages. CBS celebrated this global success, licensing the show to dozens of countries and generating millions in international revenue. What they didn't publicly acknowledge was that most of Walker's international audience was watching pirated copies, not licensed broadcasts. In countries throughout Asia, Africa, and South America, bootleg VHS tapes and later DVDs of Walker circulated widely, copied and distributed without any payment to CBS or the production company. Street vendors sold them cheaply, making the show accessible to audiences who couldn't afford cable television or legal purchases. These pirated copies often had amateur dubbing, mistranslations, and poor video quality, but they introduced Walker to millions who would never have seen it otherwise. The piracy created genuine cultural phenomenon in some countries, with Walker becoming a household name despite minimal legal distribution. CBS eventually tried cracking down on piracy, but the problem was too widespread and enforcement too difficult in countries where intellectual property laws were weakly enforced. Eventually, they adopted a different strategy, using the piracy-created popularity to negotiate better licensing deals, essentially monetizing fame that piracy had built. The irony was obvious to everyone. Walker's international success, which Norris and CBS promoted proudly, was largely built on illegal copying they'd fought unsuccessfully.